Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to a brand new edition of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Meir Fatemi. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Thursday morning here. We had two games last night. We had the Celtics-Knicks, Game 5 last night. Obviously, in aftermath of the Jason Tatum injury for the Boston Celtics, we weren't expecting a whole lot from this team last night, but it was the Celtics coming out, playing a whole lot of team basketball led by Jaylen Brown, Derek White leading the way in the scoring category, but in terms of leadership, it was all about Jaylen Brown facilitating that offense, being the spearheading that group, and it was just phenomenal performance all around. 6 guys getting into double figures for the Boston Celtics. We'll have a lot to talk about there as we start with that to start off the show. From there, we'll discuss the Minnesota Timberwolves Golden State Warriors series, the Timberwolves advancing to the Western Conference Finals, eliminating the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors, just honestly, we have a lot to talk about them because what happened to the Warriors? Not only what happened to the Warriors last night, but what happened. We're going to discuss everything that happened in this season, throughout the season for this team, because there's absolutely a lot to unpack there and to preview. If you're a Warriors fan, there's a lot to be hopeful for the future, in my opinion, at least in the short term. From there, we're going to discuss the Cleveland Cavaliers, going to discuss what happened to them. They obviously lost to the Indiana Pacers, falling in 5 games to them 2 nights ago. We're going to discuss what went wrong with them, pretty much. Is there a breakup coming in the future with their core group? What to expect from them in the offseason? What to expect from them in the upcoming season as well. So, yeah, we got a packed show lined up for you guys today, and I can't wait to get started. But before I move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I see it. It also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. But let's get right back into it here because we have a lot to unpack with specifically this Game 5 that transpired last night. The Celtics coming out and beating the brakes off the Knicks, saying, you're not going to come into Boston, into our house, and knock us out. It's just not going to happen. That's pretty much the message that the Celtics sent. On top of that, this series isn't over. For those people, including myself, I was pleasantly surprised. A team without their best player, they lose Jason Tatum. They're sitting there just dumbfounded, defeated, losing your key piece, your key rebounder, your key scorer. You're leading across the board, led in all categories. You lose him. You are still loaded. You still have Derek White. You still have Drew Holiday. Of course, you still have Jaylen Brown. Kristaps Porzingis is still there. You have the 6th man of the year in Peyton Pritchard, so you still have talent littered all around the team. But without a leader, without the spearheaded leader for this offensive group, I was personally incredibly worried that this series would be over in Boston, that the Knicks would walk into Boston and just go cruise control back home, back into the Eastern Conference Finals. Well, let's say I couldn't have been more wrong. I could not have been farther from the truth. I apologize if I'm a little stuffy this morning. The allergies are 100% kicking in for me right now. I don't know what's going on. But for Derek White to show up and drop 34 points, for Jaylen Brown to show up and drop a double-double with assists from Jaylen Brown, something we don't typically see, 2 rebounds away from a triple-double. Peyton Pritchard knocking down key timely threes in the 4th quarter to put the game on ice. 6 guys for the Boston Celtics getting into double figures here. Oh, and let me not forget, probably the star of the game. Do you know that Alex Kornet almost had a triple-double with blocks? Luke Kornet, the 3rd-string center, if you want to call Al Horford a center sometimes. When you have Jason Tatum in the lineup, usually he's the 3rd-string center. He comes out last night, gives you 10 points off the bench, 9 rebounds, and 7 blocks. 7 blocks. That was a defensive masterclass hustle performance from Luke Cornett. And if there was a guy in Boston, we have the Tommy Heinsohn Award, the coach, the former coach that unfortunately passed away a few years ago. Tommy Heinsohn Award just goes to the hustle player of the game for the Celtics. It's just something that they do in the organization. If there was somebody that deserved that last night, it was Luke Cornett. He embodied the definition of hustle, of grit, of grind. A third string center putting in key minutes for you guys and giving you the production that he did, and it didn't even hit the stat sheet that a lot of people look at. It hit the defensive side of the stat sheet. 7 blocks. I just can't get over that. Unbelievable performance from Luke Cornett last night. And this team continues to rally. They rallied last night in a way that I never expected. I knew they had the talent to, but with the style of basketball this team plays, you don't really see a lot of team basketball. You see a lot of, it's my turn to shoot the ball. It's my turn to shoot the ball. Pick and pop, shooting from outside. The ball, last night at least, it was on a yo-yo. It was going everywhere. Unselfish basketball. Clean passes. Unbelievable passes. I saw multiple from Derek White, from Jaylen Brown. Guys trying to get open as best they can and making timely cuts to the basket. They were feeding the interior of the paint. I don't know what was going on. I don't know if it was Mitchell Robinson that was playing like Swiss cheese. I'm not sure if it's Karl Anthony Towns. Whatever the case may be, Celtics had a plan last night. They had a scheme and played it to perfection. They really did. That's really the best way to describe what happened. And the Celtics the Celtics are bringing this series back to New York, a place where the Knicks are, 2-4 now? Yeah. They're now 2-4 at home on their home floor from throughout these playoffs. This is a Knicks team. I'm not saying that the Celtics are going to win this series. Please do not think I'm saying that, because I'm not. I may be a Celtics fan, but I'm not delusional like a lot of people are. I know how good the Knicks are. I know how good Jalen Brunson can be, the clutch player of the year. And I especially know how loud Madison Square Garden is going to be on Friday night. Friday night is going to be like, I'm trying to think. Like, if you guys could think back to how boxing was back in the day when the Muhammad Ali's and the Mike Tysons of the world were fighting, and how Madison Square Garden was the place, the premier place for fights. When you got a fight at Madison Square Garden, you were one of the best fighters in the world. And that crowd, it was because that crowd was so loud. It was the energy of the building. That is how loud MSG is going to be tonight on Friday night. That game on Friday night will be the biggest game the New York Knicks have played in Madison Square Garden since the 1999 NBA Finals. And I said the same thing about Game 4. This is bigger than Game 4. This is a closeout game for a team that has not been to the Eastern Conference Finals in years. They haven't been to the Eastern Conference Finals, I don't think, since 1990. I don't think they made it. I think they lost in the second round in 2011. I believe it was 1999 was the last time this team made the Eastern Conference Finals. In a year, when you don't have to face the Cleveland Cavaliers, you don't have to face the Boston. You go through the Boston Celtics, the defending champs, and now you're going up against you have the Indiana Pacers waiting for you, and you have an opportunity you have a chance to win that series and advance to a finals. This is a team in the New York Knicks with a fan base that has a lot of energy, has a lot of hope. They have a lot of key talent across the team. And I forget who said this. I believe it might have been Brian Windhorst or Chris Hay. I can't remember exactly who said this, but somebody on ESPN said this, that the New York Knicks were designed to beat the Boston Celtics. They were. And it's not over. It is 3-2. The series is not over. But this is a series where the Knicks have three chances. If you guys can think back to what I said about the Warriors and Timberwolves series, if you win one of those games, you can bring Steph Curry back and possibly win that series. Imagine flipping that to if you win one of the next 3 games, you win the series. It's not you get a player back. It's over. You need to win one out of 3 games. You had your first chance last night. The Knicks lost. You have your biggest opportunity in New York. Because God help us all, if Boston wins Game 6 and forces a Game 7 back in Boston, is all I can say. Because not only will the Garden be rocking, not only will you see Celtics fans with hope, I think the pressure that would be on the New York Knicks in a Game 7, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Hopefully, well, I will be able to talk. I'll be able to preview Game 6 on Friday, and I absolutely will. When I say Friday, I mean tomorrow. But this could be a phenomenal weekend for us all, for all Boston Celtics fans, and for the NBA world as a whole. For the people that do not like the New York Knicks, well, I'm sorry I said that. I did not mean to say that. No, we're not saying this. This is turning from basketball podcast to fandom. I'm cutting that off right now. Basically, the Knicks have to win Game 6. Because if they don't, this series, I don't know if I can pick against this Boston Celtics team in a Game 7 in Boston. I don't know if I can do it. And this would be a generational comeback. This would be one of the premier comebacks for the Celtics, and this would be this would be a generational collapse if the Knicks lost this series. But no matter, there's Game 6. I'm expecting the Knicks to win Game 6 on their home floor in front of a raging crowd. Also, the cheapest ticket price to get into Madison Square Garden for Game 6 is $855. Put in perspective, that is basically it's a little less than the cost of a finals ticket. I believe the finals tickets are about $950, $960 to get in, something like that. Yeah, this is an incredible game, and a lot of people in New York are going to be buzzing about it over the next 2 days. A lot of people in Boston are just staying cautiously optimistic because we know this team has the talent. We know they have the talent, but the Knicks have outplayed us in every category this season, these playoffs. It's only a matter of time. It could have just been a game of luck last night. It could have just been a good shooting night for us. It could have just been the energy of the group with Jason Tatum, the first game without Jason Tatum on the floor. But let's say they can continue that energy. I think Game 6 could be a battle. And we'll have more to talk about this tomorrow when I preview Game 6. But, yeah, I didn't talk about the other side very much. Josh Hart with 24 points, Jalen Brunson with 22, and Karl Anthony Towns with 19. It was just a 127-102 pretty much beatdown last night. It wasn't a close game. It was a close game in the first half. Then the third quarter, it was a 15-point disparity. And then the fourth quarter, it was a 10-point disparity, both in favor of the Celtics. Those two alone are enough to spell out what happened last night. Just phenomenal game plan that the Celtics played to perfection. And the Knicks look on to Game 6 now because they have a lot to prove in Game 6. But I'm going to take a short break now. Coming up next, we're going to switch gears over to the Minnesota Timberwolves Golden State Warriors series, a series that is now concluded. The Timberwolves advancing to the Western Conference Finals with a gentleman's sweep on the Golden State Warriors, winning 4 straight after Game 1 when the Warriors won Game 1. We'll have a lot to unpack there, and yeah, you're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mary Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to talk a little bit about the Timberwolves Golden State Warriors series. This series concluded last night with the Timberwolves dominating the Warriors in Game 5 in Minnesota, and they advanced to the Western Conference Finals. The first team, the first of two to advance to the Western Conference Finals, and only the second team to make it to the round outside of the Indiana Pacers 2 nights ago. I mean, there's a lot to discuss here, to unpack. We'll give this segment to the Minnesota Timberwolves because we'll talk more about that as we continue on with the show. But before I move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I see it. It also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. But let's get right back into it here. This is the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is the Golden State Warriors semifinals. It was supposed to. Honestly, it's unfortunate what happened to Steph Curry in this series. The heart and soul of the Warriors, been out since Game 1. And ever since then, it's been honestly the Timberwolves domination across the board. 4 straight wins from Game 2 all the way to Game 5. 4 straight wins for the Timberwolves as they put this series on ice. And last night was a continuation of Game 3 for Jimmy Butler. Or Game 4, excuse me. When I tell you I cannot be, like, at some point or another, I tried to call out, I tried to explain what happened to Jimmy Butler in Game 4. I think he only had 14 points in a Game 4. He only put up 9 shots in the game. Just atrocious performance as a leader of the team. You know you're the leading scorer. You need to step up in a big moment. The team needs you without Steph Curry on the floor. You're the star player. You're the leader. Instead of stepping up to the plate in Game 4, you put in Game 4, which is pretty much an elimination game, because if you lose Game 4, you're not winning Game 5 on the road in Minnesota without Steph Curry. Butler going off for 14 points, only putting up 9 shots in Game 4. Atrocious performance from a leader's perspective. Game 5, Game 5 he only put up 11 shots. Game 5 last night he only 17 points. 11 shots. You're letting people like Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Podziemski put up more shots than you. You let a player like Draymond Green equal the same shots that you put up. Like, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see because I really thought if you brought Steph Curry back, if you're a Warriors fan, if you brought Steph Curry back in a Game 6, you had an opportunity. You really had a chance to win this series because Game 1 was dominant, absolute dominance from the Warriors. Steph Curry just opens up so many lanes, so many different not only shots but just opportunities to win games. He's his own offensive spark. He can create momentum. He can destroy momentum. He is one of the best he's the best shot maker in NBA history, and he's one of the best players in the NBA today. So it was unfortunate to see it's unfortunate to see that he couldn't come back in this series. It's even more unfortunate that Jimmy Butler did not live up to the standard of playoff Jimmy. Now, as much as I want to continue on with this topic about the Warriors, I want to stay on the Warriors side of things. We're going to have another segment after this where we dive into the Warriors season, and I might leave that. I kind of want to leave that side of things for that segment. So, let's dive over to the Timberwolves side. First things first, with this Timberwolves team right now, there's nobody that deserves more flowers for his playoff performance than Julius Randle. And I said it. His name's Julius Randle. The guy with the New York Knicks that has fumbled the last 3 years in a row with the team, 4 years in a row with the team, has just... I've never seen somebody lose more confidence when he misses a shot than Julius Randle. He will have nights where he can go off for 30, 40 points and have like an efficient 8 of 15 or 10 of 15 shooting. Phenomenal performances like that. But then you also have nights, I'm speaking from New York, you had nights where he would go off for 15 points and shoot 3 of 8 or something. The second he sees his shot missing at first, if his first shot is a miss, it's already a bad sign for the game. Why? Because he stops taking the shots, he loses his confidence, he would lose his confidence in his shot, and it would be a downward spiral for him. This was him back in the Knicks uniform. And it was a big reason why the Knicks decided to move him, because they saw that he wasn't contributing enough for the team. He wasn't being a great player, plain and simple. He wasn't being reliable, especially as the number 2 option that they had him there as. So with all of that and combining all of that together, that is a big reason why the Knicks decided to move him and trade him for Karl Anthony Towns. Since that trade, in a Minnesota Timberwolves series, he may have had struggles in the regular season, but in the playoffs, let me just go down the numbers here. I saw them earlier this morning, and I just want to read them off really quick. Sorry about that. This is a Julius Randle that is showing up and showing out, and not in this series specifically. 18 points in game 1, 24 points in game, 24 and 11 assists in game 2, triple-double in game 3, 31 in game 4, 29 points off 72% shooting in game 5. If that Julius Randle continues to show up like this, the way he has in this series, the way he did against the Lakers, he was putting up similar numbers against the Lakers as well. This is, dare I say, playoff Randle. He's creating the playoff Randle title right now. This is 2024, 2025 playoff Randle. The way he is playing right now in these playoffs is spectacular. And coupled with an Anthony Edwards who only had 22 points last night in a game 5, but he's had multiple 40-point games so far in these playoffs. He's played phenomenally. He hasn't had a great series right now, but against the Lakers, he had a phenomenal series. He did have 43 points. He had 36 points in game 3. He had 43 points in, I think, game 2. I could be wrong about that. I know he's had more than one 43-point game in this series. Regardless, this is a Timberwolves team that is playing phenomenal basketball as they're advancing to the Western Conference Finals. And if I'm the Denver Nuggets and I reach the Western Conference Finals and I have to see this team again across from me, the team that knocked them out of the playoffs last year in 7 games on their home floor, the Nuggets could be in for some PTSD, some deja vu, as we like to call it. Because this Timberwolves team is, if not better, than that team that went into Denver and knocked them out of the playoffs last year. Nikola Jokic, oh my, I'm not, we'll talk about that, we'll discuss that. We'll see how this Thunder Timberwolves or Thunder Nuggets series ends up transpiring, because there's still a lot of game left in that series. There's a lot to just unpack there, and we'll talk about that as this show goes on. But with this series alone, with this team in the Minnesota Timberwolves, this is a team right now that can go all the way to the finals. They really can. I'm not picking them. I'm not saying they will. But this is a team that can, absolutely can, make it all the way. With how they're playing, the unselfish basketball they're playing, the intense, the defensive tenacity they're playing with. Excuse me. Jaden McDaniels is playing like the best wing defender in the league right now. Ooh, why do I have hiccups? Sorry about that, guys. You have, I said Jaden McDaniels. You have Rudy Gobert anchoring that defense. You have Julius Randle, who's an incredible two-way player. With Anthony Edwards, same title, incredible two-way player. You have shooters littered all around the team. Mike Conley, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Naz Reid. This is a team that's deep, can shoot, can play defense, is unselfish. And when you have two guys in Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards that are playing off of each other, really, the way that they are right now, yeah, this Timberwolves team can win the whole thing. They really can. So, yeah, and they're advancing to the Western Conference Finals. I'm trying to think here really quick. Yeah, honestly, let me take a short break here just because I'm going to cut this short segment just a little short. And coming up next, we're going to switch gears over to the Warriors side of things. We talked about the Timberwolves throughout this series, throughout these playoffs. Let's do the same for the Warriors because this was a what-if season for the team. And you'll see exactly what I mean in the next segment. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Meir Fatemi. Going into our next segment here, we're going to talk a little bit about the Golden State Warriors side of things. Last segment, we covered the Timberwolves, Minnesota Timberwolves, how they dominated this series, how they've been playing in the playoffs, and how they're honestly one of the best teams in the league right now, led by Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle. Now that we've gotten the goods out of the way, let's get to the other side, because whenever you have a pro, there's a con. And we have to talk about the Warriors. As much as I was hopeful in this Warriors team, I thought, especially with how they were playing down the stretch, with how Steph Curry was playing, I think Steph Curry even knew what was going to happen, what was happening in this series when he got injured. I think it was a big reason why he was crying. Sorry, this piece of hair is just in my face. I think it was a big reason, though, why Steph Curry was crying with Steve Kerr in the tunnel after his injury, when he got injured in Game 1. If you guys look back to the report, The Athletic published an incredible article about it. If you guys have time, check that out. Steph Curry visibly seen crying in the tunnel after the game, or after his injury, with Steve Kerr in the locker room. It was just an emotional scene for him. I mean, you knew this was a Warriors team with a lot of promise this regular season, going from 25-26, turning the entire ship around, going from what was known as an inconsistent team that couldn't beat good teams, couldn't win on the big stage, was missing a lot of key depth, and a lot of people said they were wasting Steph Curry's prime because this is the last few years of Steph Curry's career. I wouldn't be shocked if he retired in the next 2 years or so. Steph Curry's just getting up to that age that we just have to agree, and not agree, but we have to just understand that the end is near. Same with LeBron. LeBron's last season, this is LeBron's last season, most likely coming up in 2026. Whether Steph Curry decides to leave with him, with Kevin Durant, whether he decides to wait an extra year, we'll see how that all shakes out. Steph Curry has not set an exact timetable on anything. And Steph Curry is one of those guys that wouldn't do that. He's one of those guys that would just say, all right, I'm ready to leave. Peace, guys. It was an incredible career. Hang up the shoes. You know Steph Curry. He has just one of those personalities. But getting back to what went wrong for the Golden State Warriors. What went wrong is Steph Curry's injury. That's why we're talking about it. Steph Curry was the heart and soul of this team. He's the best player in the league, one of the best talents in NBA history, one of the best, easily the best shot maker I've ever seen to play in the NBA. He truly was a spectacular talent. He was a spectacular talent. You go from 25 and 26 before the trade deadline. You added Jimmy Butler to the team. Jimmy Butler coming in from Miami, saying that he wanted to get his joy back, wanted to play with another star player, wanted to compete for championships, this, that, and the third. 100% agree and understood it. He comes in, has some good games. We saw a few 30-point games. I think we saw one 40-point game. He played good basketball through these playoffs. He had multiple 30-point games against the Rockets. He had a 30-point game in Game 3 against the Timberwolves. The problem was he was missing his Batman. And that's what he always said. I'm not Batman anymore. I'm Robin. I'm the Robin to Batman. And Batman's name is Steph Curry. Without Steph Curry, the wheels on this train, the wheels just fell off for the Warriors. And with him out, the wheels just simply fell off for the Warriors. Now, to talk about what's next for them. I think you have one more good year. You have to buy into the short term because of how good Steph Curry still is. Steph Curry will give your team one more year of his prime. I think Steph Curry has at least one more year in him of high level, great basketball where he can where he can compete and be the leader of the team, can be the number one option on a championship level team. Now that does not absolve a man by the name of Jimmy Butler because of how he's played in the last 2 games, with how he played to close the series. He absolutely struggled. And whether that had to do with Minnesota's defense, whether that had to do with a double team that Minnesota was playing on him, trapping him, 100% probably was. But this is a Warriors team that needs Jimmy Butler to be back. He needs to be back, or else this Warriors team is dead in the water. Or else they're back to that 25 and 26 level season like they were having before the trade deadline. This team went from 11th place in the Western Conference, a loaded Western Conference, with how good the Western Conference is, 11th place, just one game under 500. Went from that to, I think they finished the season 46 and 31 or something crazy. I can't remember the exact numbers of what it was, but it was something along those lines. Hold on, let me just check it quick. I believe sorry, I thought I had to sneeze. Finished the season 48 and 34. 25 and 26 to 48 and 34. They had 8 losses over the last 2 months of the season. If you're the Warriors, you have to feel pretty good about that. So with that outlook, if you can add another piece to this Warriors team, there's been rumors about a Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm not sure if that's the answer to your problems. I think another shooter would do you well to add with Buddy Hield, with Steph Curry, another guy that's a reliable shot maker. Maybe you can get a Klay Thompson back on the team. I think Klay would love to come back to this team, finish his career in Golden State, Whether that actually happens, that could just be a pipe dream. We'll see how that all shakes out. But if you can add another piece to this team, specifically a shooter, you've missed a lot of center would be nice with Giannis, but I think a shooter would help you more. I think the Warriors can be deadly once again. I really think. I think they're deadly right now. I think if they had Steph Curry, they would have won this series. I really think so. The Timberwolves did not look good in game 1. They may have looked good in game 2. They may have looked good in game 5. They didn't look good in game 3. I could say that. Game 4, they didn't look the greatest. I mean, they didn't look bad, but that was a game that Jimmy Butler decided not to show up in. If you can get Steph Curry on the floor with these guys and give him an opportunity, I just don't think Steph Curry would pass up. I don't think he would falter the way we saw Jimmy Butler falter at the end of game 5, at the end of game 4, at the end of game 3. We saw he had 30 points going into the fourth quarter. In the last 12 minutes of the game, he had 3 points. I'm telling you, this is a Warriors team that has a lot of potential. But if Jimmy Butler cannot step it up and turn into playoff Jimmy, the guy we know he can turn into come playoff time. I don't know what got into him this year. I'm not sure if he was injured. We saw he had a little bit of an injury in the Rockets series. We don't know. I'm not sure if he was still dealing with that. We have no idea. A lot of these players deal with injuries and just don't say anything. It's like Steph Curry. His hamstring injury was the best kept secret in San Francisco. We didn't hear a peep about it after game 1. Outside of the immediate aftermath of his injury, how he responded to it. So, yeah, I mean, there's not much else to say. This is a Warriors team that has a lot of potential still. There's a lot of young talent. I think they can figure it out. I really think they have the talent. They have the group to figure it out in the offseason. But they have to. They can't waste Steph Curry's career more than they already have. So that's the biggest thing I have to stress with this Warriors team. But yeah, in the offseason, if you can prepare a package for, I know they don't have a whole lot of draft capital, so they would have to give up young pieces. They would probably have to give up Buddy Hield, probably a Jimmy Butler as well. Not sure exactly how much more you would have to give up if you're the Warriors. I just don't think they can land Giannis. I don't think they have the piece. I think they might have the pieces for it, actually. I just think there's other teams out there, for example, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Boston Celtics, the Brooklyn Nets, that have better pieces to offer a team like the Milwaukee Bucks that needs young talent instead of veteran talent. So, yeah, if you're the Warriors, you add pieces, you continue to build in the short term. That is what you have to stress if you're the Warriors. And give Steph Curry one more year. One more year to get a champion, to capture another title. I think he can do it. He just needs the group to do so. So that's just my take on it. What went wrong for the Warriors? Steph Curry went wrong. Jimmy Butler didn't show up in the last couple of games. And their depth got exposed. In terms of physicality, Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert were definitely incredibly active on the boards. Draymond Green could not do it himself in the low post. So I think, yes, a big man would help this Warriors team in the long term. But I think with the way they're built right now, I think another shooter with Steph Curry would just be much more dependable, much more reliable, and it would just fit the style of basketball that they're playing right now. That's just my take. But, yeah, I'm going to take another short break. Coming up next, we're going to switch gears over to the Denver Nuggets. That's exactly where we're going. Game 6 between the Denver Nuggets and the Oklahoma City Thunder slated for tonight. We saw Game 5, how unbelievable that game was. We saw the first 4 games, every game of this series has been really unbelievable. Outside of Game 2, where the Thunder decided to just show up and, if you guys remember the Iron Man clip, actually, I won't even say it. I was going to say a funny clip that came to mind when I was thinking about it, but pretty much just saying, you're not getting this game in the first quarter. That was the game. That's pretty much a sum up of Game 2. Outside of that, this is a Nuggets team that's fought tooth and nail And we'll have a lot to discuss about this in the next segment. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
For the best and latest anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows. Available everywhere podcasts are found.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Merab Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to talk a little bit about the Denver Nuggets and Oklahoma City Thunder series. This is a series that's honestly, for me at least, been engraved with circles around it. It really has. This is, in my opinion, the best series of the playoffs so far. Two evenly matched teams, two MVPs, the two key players in the MVP race right now with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Nikola Jokic. And of course, from there, these are two teams that emulate each other very well, I'd say. Well, no, these are two teams. This is a team in the Denver Nuggets with a lot of experience that has a style of basketball that they play to almost perfection a lot of times. And an Oklahoma City Thunder team that's incredibly deep, incredibly young. We heard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander talk about it in his post-game interview after Game 5. When you have a team that's able to go 10-man deep into their rotation, not only does it fit their style of basketball, they love to play fast-paced, push the ball down the court, play in transition. But it also keeps you guys incredibly fresh and keeps the players, gives them ample rest, gives them the time they need on the bench so they don't have to burn themselves out, gives them more of an opportunity in the long term to play more fresh basketball and have their guys ready to go, say if they make the finals or so. We saw, for example, an example of this is 2022. After a long series in 2022 when the Boston Celtics lost or beat the Miami Heat in 7 games, they walked into that series against the Golden State Warriors absolutely exhausted. It was a common theme from a lot of the players. They said it. Al Horford said it. Jaylen Brown said it. Jason Tatum said it. A lot of people said it across the board. So, if you're the Nuggets, well, obviously you have to win tonight. Tonight is an elimination game. You're down 3-2. If you can win tonight, I think you guys I think the Nuggets have a legit opportunity to win this series in OKC. I think the experience of Nikola Jokic is going to shine through tonight. I think he's going to have a similar performance like he did in Game 5. The problem is, you know Jokic is going to show up. You know Jamal Murray will show up. Who else, though? You need an Aaron Gordon. You need a Michael Porter Jr. You need a Christian Braun. You need a Russell Westbrook. Am I missing anybody? Peyton Watson played some key minutes in Game 5 on the defensive end of the ball. But offensively, you need guys to step up for you. And you know they can. Aaron Gordon, we've seen you have 25-point games. And Michael Porter Jr., we've seen you have 25. We've seen you have 15 and 15 games. We've seen Christian Braun light it up. In this series, he had 17 points in a game in this series. He has just shot the ball incredibly inefficiently. And if I'm Christian Braun, all I'm doing in the gym, all I would have been doing yesterday and today in pregame warmups, just shoot the ball. Just shoot the three. I want you doing nothing else. Get in a rhythm. Find your shot. Just find your shot. Plain and simple. Find your rhythm. This is a Christian Braun that is getting shot after shot, opportunity after opportunity, late in games, throughout games, getting opportunities to extend leads, and just missed. And they're not even bad shots. That's the worst part. A lot of these shots that he's been taking have been wide open from outside, and he's just been flat out missing them. watching Game 5, I thought my head was going to explode. Because every time I saw Christian Braun put up a shot, I was like, miss. He's going to miss. And every single time, I was right. He missed it. I just don't understand. This is a Christian Braun that I want to root for him. I know he's a good player. I know he's a good role player. He can be a decent, like a number 4 option, a number 3 option sometimes. Well, not 3. Definitely not 3. 4 at the 4, probably a 4 option for this Nuggets team as a shooter. He really can be. But I just don't know, man. This is a Nuggets team that I have a lot of hope in. I know that how good Jokic is. I know how good on paper these guys are. The collective nature, though, of the Oklahoma City Thunder cannot go unseen. This is similar to what the Indiana Pacers are. I think if we see a Thunder Pacers finals, I think we're in for a treat. I think it may not be the biggest names in sports, but those two teams match up with one another so incredibly well. You have a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on one side. You have Tyrese Halliburton on the other. You have Chet Holmgren on one side. You have Pascal Siakam on the other. You have Isaiah Hartenstein on one side. You have Miles Turner on the other. You have Jalen Williams on one side. You have Andrew Nembhard on the other. Do you guys see what I'm talking about? You have Alex Caruso on one side. You have Aaron Nesmith on the other. These are two teams that pretty much emulate each other. And I think their ability to go so deep into their roster, into their bench, to give their starters more rest. I think we're seeing a little bit of the Nuggets fizzle out a little bit in these last 2 games, especially in the fourth quarter. I believe the stat came up. The Thunder have outscored the Nuggets 62-38 or something crazy in the last 2 fourth quarters. This is a Nuggets team that can show up and show out. The problem is you're just shallow. And it was the biggest concern I had with this Nuggets team before the playoffs started. I thought it was Jokic, Jamal Murray, and then the rest of the guys under them. The problem is the rest of the guys under them just they're not efficient enough. They're not. It's the truth. When you have Aaron Gordon going off for 13 points, you have Christian Braun going off for 8 points, you have Michael Porter Jr. having 2 points. You know these guys can play at a higher level, that can play more efficiently. But this Nuggets team is falling short every single time in that category. So, yeah. Can the Nuggets force a Game 7? Absolutely. But it comes down to those X factors. It comes down to your bench. It comes down to your depth. Aaron Gordon, if you can have one of those 20 and 15 games, I think the Nuggets force a Game 7. Michael Porter Jr., if you have a 15 and 15 game, I think they force a Game 7. Christian Braun, if you have another 17-point game, I think the Nuggets force a Game 7. It's just one of these guys needs to show up with Nikola Jokic, with Jamal Murray. If one of those guys can go off for 17 and the rest of the bench can have 8 to 13 points apiece, probably, I think you're fine. You just need a guy to have 15 to 20 points. One of those other guys to be a legit number 3 option. And it doesn't need to be the same guy every time. Just one of them. It can't be none. It can't be like Aaron Gordon every time, because it's not going to be Aaron Gordon every time. It can't be Michael Porter Jr. every time, because it's not going to be. If you guys just take turns. That's just my take on it. If the Nuggets can play at that level, they'll be fine. If you're the Thunder, I'm going to say it again. I said it after Game 4. Jalen Williams needs to step up as your number 2 option to put this team away in the Denver Nuggets. You have to. You have to. Game 5, I think he had a little bit of a better performance in Game 5. I remember in Game 4, he only had 10 points. Like, that's not going to get you off the hook every time. Okay, he had 18 points in Game 5. But even then, 5 of 14 shooting, 8 free throws. The reason you had the 18 points is you had 6 to 8 free throws. You made 6 of 8 free throws. Outside of that, Jalen Williams needs to shoot more efficiently. We saw him hit that key 3 down the stretch in the fourth quarter. He did. And that is something that the Nuggets were lacking. Christian Braun didn't hit his 3 that could have cut the lead to, it ended up being a 7-point game. It could have cut the lead to 4. This is a team in the Nuggets that just have a lot of opportunities here. And the Thunder are giving you windows. In Game 5, there were windows. You dominated the first 3 quarters of the game if you're the Denver Nuggets. It was just the fourth quarter. And even then, Jokic fought tooth and nail, hitting fall-away jumpers, battling his way into the interior, hitting pirouette 3-pointers over Chet Holmgren. If you guys haven't seen that clip, go watch it. It was incredible. And then you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on the other side, playing at a high level, dropping 31 points. When you have a Thunder team that can go 6-man deep into their rotation with 10-plus points, you're going to win that game. And you take the Thunder's pretty much best shot when they go 6-man deep in double figures in terms of scoring. You have Shai that goes off for 30 points. And you're still in that game, piggybacked off a Jokic 44-point game, piggybacked off of Jamal Murray with 28, and the rest of the team, their highest scorer is Aaron Gordon with 13 points. This is a Nuggets team that needs to step up in Game 6, and I think they will on their home floor. I wouldn't be shocked if they blew out the Thunder in Game 6. I'm not going to say they will. I think they're going to beat them, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's a blowout, because this Nuggets team needs to send a message in Game 6, and I think that's going to be the message that David Adelman sends his team before this game. You had Game 4 in the palm of your hand. You had Game 5 in the palm of your hand. A little bit less so in Game 5, but Game 4 was in the palm of your hand for sure. Game 5, Jokic tried to carry you there, and the rest of the team wasn't feeling it. Russell Westbrook, we saw you show up and show out with dropping over 15 points in the first 2 games. Are you going to still play at that level? We haven't seen you have more than 10 points over the last 3 games. We haven't. Game 6, Game 5, we saw you only have 4 points. Game 5, I'm pretty sure you only had 5 points or something like that. Or Game 4, you only had 5 points. Russell Westbrook needs to step up for this team. He does. And so does the rest of the role players. Aaron Gordon, Christian Braun, Michael Porter Jr. These are the guys I'm looking at to step up here. Russell Westbrook. These are the guys that need to step up, because you know Jamal Murray will be there. You know Jokic will be there. You just need another guy to pick up the slack. And if you're the Thunder, continue to play team basketball, play tempo, because the Nuggets can't handle that. They're going to tire out. I think that's a big reason why they've been getting exhausted down the stretch, just running back and forth, trying to keep up with this Thunder's fast-paced basketball. And then Jalen Williams, like I said, you need to step up, not only in this series, if you want to close out this series, but in this coming series against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Jalen Williams, you need to step up as a number 2 option for this Thunder team, or else you're going to be caught in the wind. True. You're going to be caught in the crosshairs if this Thunder team does not make it to the finals. I think Jalen Williams is still young. We'll give him a pass, but we'll talk about it. We have to. And this is that moment. If you want to take that next step and you want to be known as the number 2 option in OKC, you have to take that next step now, or else you fall to number 3 or 4. And the Thunder look elsewhere in the free agent market for a legitimate number 2 option for this Thunder team. That's just my take on it. This segment has been going on way too long. I'm sorry about that, guys, but that's a pretty much full picture of what to expect for tonight. I'm going to take one last short break. Coming up next, we're going to switch gears back over to the Eastern Conference, talk a little bit about the Cleveland Cavaliers, talk about what went wrong for them against the Indiana Pacers, and what to expect from them in the offseason. Do we expect a little bit of an offseason breakup with their core guys? And we'll get into a little bit of Donovan Mitchell news as well. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mara Fatemi. Getting into our last segment of the show here, we're going to wrap up talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers. What's next for Donovan Mitchell, and give a little bit of a off-season outlook, because there was some news that came out last night, and I looked into it a little bit just to fact check and look at the numbers. It looks to be true. Is there an off-season breakup coming up in their core group? We're going to discuss everything about that in this segment right here. First things first. What happened to the Cleveland Cavaliers in this series? What went wrong for them? We're going to give this the same outlook that we gave the Golden State Warriors. What went wrong? The health. Same as the Warriors. You're missing You're missing a key offensive player for a lot of this series that's playing hobbled right now. He's nowhere near 100% in Darius Garland, and it's incredibly unfortunate for a player like Darius Garland to be stuck in that type of situation. You have Donovan Mitchell that gets hurt in Game 4, tweaks his ankle, even though he comes back and decides to drop 35 points in a closeout Game 5. You have Evan Mobley, who's playing on a bad hamstring. You have DeAndre Hunter that hasn't come back in this series. And then, of course, there's all of those factors on the injury side on the injury perspective. On the other side, you have a team like the Indiana Pacers, a deep team, an incredibly deep team, led by Tyrese Halliburton, who's playing incredible basketball right now. This is a team in the Indiana Pacers that, honestly, in my opinion, the favorites to win the Eastern Conference. Even if there's a miraculous chance that the Boston Celtics win this series against the New York Knicks and come back from a 3-1 deficit, I still think the Pacers are the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Why? Because of how deep they are. I think Tyrese Halliburton is playing on a absolute different level right now. I think Miles Turner is playing incredibly well. Pascal Siakam, their double big, is playing to perfection right now. You have Andrew Nembhard, who's shooting the lights out. You have Aaron Nesmith, who's contributing massive offensively. You have Benedict Mathurin, obviously, when he's a little bit more cool-headed, keeps his composure. He's been playing at a high level. You have Obi Toppin, TJ McConnell. This is a team that can go 7-man deep, and we saw they went 7-man deep into their rotation with double that scored over 10-plus points in a game. I think it was a game against the Cavs. I'm trying to think back it could have been Game 1. Why am I forgetting this? I'm sorry, guys. I thought it might have been. It was either Game 1 or it was Game 3. I think it might have been Game 3. Was it Game 3? It was Game 3. They had seven guys go into double figures. You have 3 guys go over 20-plus points. If that does not tell you how good this Pacers team is offensively, the only way to beat them is to beat them at their own game. You're not going to stop them defensively. You're not going to stop 7 guys. You're not going to stop 5 guys if they all 5 guys. You're not going to stop 5 guys if they score over 10-plus points. You're not. The only time you'll catch them losing if they shoot horribly, which only happened one time in the series when they played Game 3, back in Indiana, when they got blown out by the Cavs. But that was the only game that they shot poorly. And even then, in that game, they shot, I'll tell you right now how they shot. They shot 30% from 3. When you shoot 9 of 30 from 3, what do you expect is going to happen? You're going to have sunshine and roses? No, you're going to get blown out. Any team, even if that happened even if Boston shot like that, they would lose by 20 against the Knicks. So that was obviously a game that the Cavs needed to win to keep their season alive. Obviously going down 3-0, you're not coming back from that. So, yeah, I mean, this is a Pacers team that's playing incredible basketball right now. The only way to beat them is if you shoot the lights out and you beat them at their own game. It's plain and simple. and they're playing incredibly well at home. They're undefeated at home. They're an incredible basketball team, and they're playing incredibly well. This is a team that's going to be around for a while in the Indiana Pacers. So that's my take about what happened to the Cleveland Cavaliers. What's next for Donovan Mitchell? Well, you had you had 3 40-point performances in game 2, game 3, and game 2, game 3. I think you may have only had 2. I thought they had 3. Or am I just making that up? Regardless, Donovan Mitchell playing phenomenal basketball, averaging almost 40 points a game. I think he was averaging 39. He was averaging 41 before game 4, after game 4. No, before game 4. And then game 4 he got hurt. So he probably averaged in the mid 30s, low 30s, something like that. Regardless, Donovan Mitchell just playing phenomenal basketball in this series. And it's unfortunate because he hasn't made the conference finals. He's the third. I think he averages 27 points a game in the playoffs, and he hasn't made the conference finals. The only players that have a higher points average that haven't made the conference finals, I think the only one I can think of off the top of my head are Joel Embiid, and there was another Hall of Famer. I can't remember his name. I remember Joel Embiid was on the list. I wish I had the list in front of me. It might have been Carmelo Anthony. That actually sounds right. I think it was Joel Embiid and Carmelo Anthony, followed by Donovan Mitchell. But obviously from his days in Utah when he missed the conference finals, when he was showing up and showing out in every game. If you guys think back to 2020, when the Jazz played the Nuggets in the first round of the playoffs, when both guys, they were going back and forth, dropping 50 on one another. Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray. This is Donovan Mitchell that plays his heart out. He's nicknamed the Spider for a reason, and he deserves it. He absolutely deserves it because he's one of the best playoff performers in the NBA right now. But, and it's a big but, he's gotten a lot of misfortune in these playoffs. And a lot of the times it's bad matchups. This is one of those cases. Sometimes it's health. This is one of those cases as well. But Donovan Mitchell, I would not be shocked I think he's under contract, but I would not be shocked if he decided to opt out or request a trade out of Cleveland, just because of how dominant this team is and how good this team is on paper. He knows this Cleveland Cavaliers on paper plays incredibly well. But there's another aspect of this, switching off of Donovan Mitchell, going to a team perspective, going into the offseason. You have to pay Evan Mobley a Defensive Player of the Year type contract. So it's probably going to be close to 30, 40 million a year. Easily. And he's a young player. He's probably going to ask for a max contract. So it's probably going to be 4 years for $140 or $150 million is my prediction. You have to pay him. You've paid Donovan Mitchell a 5-year supermax. Over $200 million. I don't know if he's still on. I think he's still on it, but I don't know what the trade clauses are. That's what I was going to look up. You have Darius Garland that's looking for a contract. An all-star young level player who's looking for probably a 4-year, $120 million. You have a lengthy list of guys that want contracts there in Cleveland, and you're already in the second layer of the tax apron. You're already in the second tax apron, luxury tax. So you're paying almost over $500 million in luxury tax. What do you do if you're the Cavs? And I think the only way to do it, and you can see it in the title. That's why I put off-season breakup, because there are a lot of guys that are looking for contracts out there in Cleveland that if you give them their money, you're not going to be able to sign a single other player. And this is a team that needs another piece. I think they need one more piece. They need a defensive, they need a defensive guy, but they need a good two-way player, I think. Say they can get like a Drew Holiday from Boston. They can get, maybe they can get somebody out of the draft. They just need if they can get a bench piece or a small forward, if they can move DeAndre Hunter to the bench, and get a two-way player, small forward, that can defend and can score the basketball. He doesn't have to shoot, but just score the basketball. I think this Cavs team has an opportunity here. There was a world where this Cavs team can still be good next season, but I don't think they're going to bring the core group of guys back. I think that's the biggest thing I want to stress in this segment because of that luxury tax apron. So, and especially with Cleveland being a little bit of a low market team, a smaller market team, you're just not going to be able to have as much success with the group of guys that are there right now. That's just my take on it. But, excuse me, I almost just burped. Yeah, I'm going to leave it on that note. You're watching, well, yeah. Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to leave a positive review in the comments below. Whether it's positive, whether it's negative, just let us know what we're doing well. Let us know what we can improve upon so we can continue to create a better and improved product, improved podcast every time we go live here, at least for my channel. Whether I think a lot of other people would appreciate, but at least for me, let me know what I'm doing well. Let me know what I can improve upon so I can continue to give you guys the content, more content that you guys want to see. For more content and updates, please remember to follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitter below. We got a packed slate of games tonight as well. We had Game 6 between the Nuggets and Thunder tonight. Unfortunately, we don't get Game 6 between the Celtics and Knicks until tomorrow. But we'll be back here tomorrow, same time, 9 a.m., to recap Nuggets, Thunder, and hopefully all goes well and we see a Game 7 because I'm not a fan of either of these teams, but I'm a fan of good basketball, and this is high, great level basketball here. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your days. This is Mayor Fatemi, the host of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, signing off. Bye-bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.